Welcome to the David Sparks Show, an ongoing exploration of issues and thought by award-winning journalist, artist, and musician David Sparks. For more info, visit thedavidsparks.com.
Is Ted Rall a racist? That's what Daily Kos administrators have insinuated in a message to him that Rall has cried foul all over the internet and on his website, saying this is kind of the new form of internet digital age censorship. And if you're not familiar with what's going on, Ted Rall, a syndicated political cartoonist, has been producing work for like 30 years. Around 2 months ago, began posting work to the dailykos.com website, a liberal/left-leaning website, kind of recognized as a inside the Beltway liberal bastion, if you will. Rall had been posting his cartoons to the site for about 2 months, and last week received a message from site administrators after posting a cartoon featuring President Obama and kind of highlighting some doublespeak on his part. And site administrators were not happy, saying the depiction of his drawing style of Obama was ape-like and harkened back to a history of depictions through American and British history of black people as apes. Well, the problem, at least says Rall, that a lot of people would say that most of the people in his cartoons are kind of ape-looking, and a lot of people say that his depiction of President Obama looks more like Homer Simpson than an ape. But that being said, Ted Rall has been a lefty's lefty for years and years, and this is kind of opening up a can where is this the new digital censorship where sites that have a large following kind of get into at least administrative or sometimes a hive mentality where legitimate political dissent, sometimes that may be offensive, but we really don't have a right not to be offended in the world, is being drowned out by basically a hive mentality, and we're getting cute kittens instead of thoughtful, provoking dialogue and ideas. Number one, if you follow his work, he's very anti-racist. And number two, he's been doing this style of political leaders for quite some time. And while, yes, there is a history, it's not really here in this case. Ted Rall is pointing out some of the administration's doublespeak, and what we're seeing now, which Rall alluded to in our conversation, is the new wave, if you will, of attacks within the Democratic Party, the centrist Democratic wing of the party, attacking the left, traditional anti-war, traditional anti-corporate, pro-labor wing of the party, and that's what Rall says he's being a victim of. I would tend to come on his side because the same thing happened to me on dailykos.com, which we'll get to here in a minute. But here's the statement that Rall received, and I'll talk about my situation and experience at dailykos.com, and then we'll get to Ted's interview, of which the first bit I did not get captured due to my technical incompetence. But we've got about 10 minutes. We talk about a situation. Here's what Daily Kos had to say to Ted Rall. Your depiction of Barack Obama as ape-like is intolerable. Being critical of Obama, even ferociously so, is not the problem. Through British and American history, blacks have been subjected to racist depictions of themselves as monkeys and apes. No excuse is acceptable for replicating that history, no matter what your intent. If it happens again, your posting privileges will be suspended. I myself have experienced problems with the hive censorship of some of these large websites when, in specifically, dailykos.com. I posted the following piece of artwork that I produced. It's about a 5 foot tall piece. It's framed. It's out in my garage. I call it Drobama. And it's a political piece of art, folk art, aimed at highlighting the what I would consider the big dick of American foreign policy is our drone usage. And folks on the Daily Kos site, the comments I got were all immediately nasty towards me, very negative. How could you post this? I got a warning saying, you can't post anything like this again. And I thought, hey, this is a piece of political art that stands on its own merits, because this guy is sending these machines to drop bombs on people many, many, many times, and many more times innocent people get killed by these things. And it's fair game. And I also produced a video that had the little cartoon Drobama with a drone for a penis traversing across the landscape, bombing innocent villages, and they freaked out. And it's what Rall would say. It's the kind of hive mind, or I would say the hive mind mentality, and the ability for users to rate everything is really it's turning into a kind of digital censorship, in that if you don't have the most popular idea out there, you don't have mainstream sensibilities, you have maybe some political ideologies that offend people, then you're going to get relegated. I'm going to have to agree with Rall. His stuff is not racist in any way. He's been a liberal's liberal, a friend of progressive ideology for a long time. A lot of his work has inspired me to do a lot of the stuff that we do here at TYT Nation. I'm sure the Young Turks have been inspired by a lot of the work Rall has done. So first of all, let's thank Ted Rall. And secondly, let's get to this interview. I'd like to apologize because the first half of it, somehow I didn't get it captured. But this is about 10 minutes of an interview with Ted, talking about this new atmosphere where if you put out something that's unpopular to a certain crowd, they'll attack you like a hive, and its effect on artists' psyches in the United States, especially political artists. And here's my interview, at least the part that I captured, with Ted Rall, and I hope you enjoy it.
He says that I'm drawing something that's racist, but he didn't ban me. I can still log on to the site. So if I've been drawing racist cartoons, why am I not banned? I've been censored and squashed. But also part of the problem is that people have become incredibly sensitive, and also people tolerate this use of the race card. Oh, you're racist because you criticize Obama, and people get scared and they run away, and then other people believe it. And it's come on, consider the source. If someone's a partisan of the president, they'll say anything to defend him. I mean, these guys are no different than under Bush. I mean, back under Bush, if they'd caught Bush dog fucking, Republicans would have said well, he had a good reason. The dog was a terrorist. They would have made excuses for him, and that's what they're doing with Obama. It's they make excuses for the drones. We can't get out of Afghanistan because he inherited that. There's always an excuse, right? So they'll say anything, and when they're finally out of saying anything, then they just scream the race card and they hope that you go away. And, they kind of picked the wrong guy. I don't go away. I've been here a long time.
Yeah, you have a campaign. I was on your website, and it was talking about fighting back against this. What can people do to fight back against legitimate, not people posting hate articles or whatever, but legitimate political dissent as expressed in art in many different forms?
Right. Yeah. Well, you got to be able to have that.
What do you recommend people to do? I mean, you said you're starting up this fight against censorship.
Well, one thing I'm doing is I don't want to promote this because it's it's not what we're here for, but I just started a project which is going to get bigger in the next few months, where I signed up for beaconreader.com, which is a a site that's like it's a patronage model. So what happens is that people can sponsor like the cartoonist or the writer that they like, and then they get that writer gets 70% of their $5 subscription every month, and they get all this other stuff too. And then I'm hoping that there's a lot of other things like that. There's like Medium. There's like all these other websites where people can support work directly. It's really important to take the gatekeepers out of the equation, because what the internet was supposed to do was democratize things. And in fact, we have the same old thing. You have guys like little fascists like Marcos who are controlling discourse on the internet. People like Ariana Huffington, who are controlling discourse, and who are essentially just like old-fashioned publishers like William Randolph Hearst. And but the good thing is that with the meltdown of print media, people have the opportunity to support writers and artists and other people whose work they respect directly. And that's what they have to do. I mean, you have to really unfortunately, I guess what I ask people to do is think of all the money you're saving on the newspapers that you're not buying anymore, and the magazines that you're not buying anymore, and the CDs you're probably not buying anymore because you're downloading music for free. Think of all the DVDs you used to buy, and now you can stream for free. So think of all that money you're saving on creativity, and spend that money directly on the bands and the artists and the writers and the broadcast shows that are doing the kind of work that is unfiltered and dangerous, and that you just like. Don't be donating money to Daily Kos. That's corporate media.
What do you think this the kind of new digital atmosphere? What do you think it does to artist psyche when the ability for, like you said, these groups to attack, often really in a nasty way? To someone who may not have that much big of a platform, a lot of times just may think this isn't worth it. Exposing my work or message, it's not worth it dealing with all of this hive of idiots. Am I right there, or? Yeah,
you are right there. It is. I think that what happens is that a lot of people just sort of pick up their ball and go home. You could argue that that's what I did. You get to the point where you're being yelled at. It's feels like a cultural revolution struggle session where you're wearing the dunce cap and holding the big sign, and and everyone's yelling at you and telling you you're a bad person. And after a while, you're just going to say, "Yeah, that's right." You're going to just admit it because you just don't want to. You don't want to. You just want them to shut up and go away. So, yeah, it's a bad scene. It really is, and there's a responsibility that's shared all around. There's these gatekeepers who are truly evil, people like Marcos, but there's also, the fans are readers are oversensitive. They need to relax. I had this friend who was a huge fan of George Carlin, the comedian, and she had all his records, went to his shows. One time he tells a joke, and she's like, that guy's dead to me now. It was a sexist joke, and it's not that bad. But he's like, the joke is like, have you ever noticed that the women who are against abortion are women you wouldn't want to fuck anyway? So anyway, the point is, she was like, I was like, really? I was like, so George Carlin, you enjoyed thousands of his jokes, listened to hours of his comedy, but one joke, he's dead to you. There's something wrong with that. People have to grow up. And the reason that that comedy has become so lame is because in order you can't offend anyone. So these days, someone like Jon Stewart is what passes for edgy. He's not. He's very safe. It's just barely safer. More dangerous than it's not. It's maybe a little more dangerous than Jay Leno or Conan. So it's people need to grow a pair. They need to stop being so sensitive. And then I think people like me, we need to just hold tight and refuse to be cowed and just don't apologize when you're not wrong. Apologize when you're wrong. Don't apologize when you're not wrong. And just and stick with it and just be brave because that's what's required. Free speech goes away in the flash of an eye. And the truth is nobody really likes free speech. Everyone likes their own free speech. and they hate opposing free speech.
What do you think the future is going to hold for political art? Is it going to go away from the internet into physical location? I mean, we've always had physical locations and magazines, but like you said earlier, it seemed like the internet was going to be this great liberating force, and it's coming down to, to get audiences, like you said, large people control big pipelines of lots and lots and lots of people, and it's really tough to get something out there.
Yeah, I mean,
to the underground.
Maybe it'll all be 3D printing. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I mean, it's like there's no telling. I mean, the fact is there's always going to be, the irony is that as societies become more repressive, then there's a bigger market for satire. So, there was a big market for satire in the old Soviet Union, and there's a lot of funny stuff back then. So our society is becoming increasingly repressive. And so I think, satire will find a way. It will find, I think the answer is all of the above, and then stuff that we've never thought of. There's no it's like, all you need is some wise ass to think of a way to push something out, whether it's a video or a funny song or graffiti or who knows. But there's always going to be a way. I mean, I know I'm always like racking my brain trying to think of new approaches, and I know that there's a billion more of us,